kind of want to do a real big jump
Okay.
back to this. Just came into my head about the flight simulator.
All right. Yeah.
When I was talking about how they did the sound design for it, something very interesting with sound design for games. It's completely different to films. So, for something, let's say for a first-person shooter, someone's footsteps on grass, right? You don't. So how they would do that is they go into this program called Fmod, and you put in different sounds of different footsteps on grass, and then pretty much you set it up, you edit it all up so that when you trigger that sound, it'll play straight away. And then you can set it up so if you put in maybe 9 different sounding footsteps, you can trigger it to play randomly for each different sound.
Wow.
Because obviously you're not going to there's not only one footstep sound for every single footstep, because that would just be
like Minecraft.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how they do that, and then they export this Fmod trigger. I don't know what the export is exactly, but they export that and put it into Unity, and then just literally place it into a 3D world.
That's crazy.
And it's like, this belongs here now. So when
you live here.
Yeah. So and then you do all this coding, and it's like when the player steps in this area, one of these 9 sounds will trigger.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I really like that.
It is really cool. And same with, so let's say something that stays in one place, like a fire. You would put it in Fmod. You would get your sound. You would edit it so it's loopable. Because if a player walks off and comes back in half an hour, there can't just be no fire sound anymore. And it's like, sorry, reset the game so you can hear it again.
Reset the game for fire sound effect.
So you make it loopable, and then you can set, I think in Fmod you do this, you set like parameters for when the sound will start getting softer.
Right.
Because if the player walks away from it, it can't be the same loudness.
Yeah.
It can't be just as loud as it was when they're standing right next to it. So you set parameters for where it starts to get softer, and then for when it disappears and you can't hear it anymore. And then again, you export that and into Unity, and they do the exact same thing. They place it there in this 3D world.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so then when your player walks up to it,
It gets louder as you get closer.
yeah.
Wow.
So
That's intense.
Completely different, yeah.
It's a lot more. I feel like it's not a lot more thought. It's a very different thought process.
Yeah, 100%. Even for, so let's say, if the character wears armor, yeah, and you got to have maybe 5 or 6 different chink sounds.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't sound the same every time.
Yeah, because when you're doing Foley, it would naturally sound different every time because you're doing it along with the actual audio. But
exactly.
With a game, it's just baked in.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't know.
You don't have a guy in your room with you going, chink, 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 chink.
And then you're like, oh, this is going to be a big one because he's jumping down a long way or whatever.
Yeah.
And so all of those things, Fmod is like the industry standard, I believe.
Yeah.
And then they put it in Unity or whatever program, and yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's very cool.
Sick.